This podcast is Entell enhanced. To see pictures, articles and links of what's being discussed, download the Entell app.
Hello, welcome to the Big Scuba Show.
Hi, my name is Jessica Mitchell. I'm here with Gemma and Ian on the Big Scuba podcast, and we're talking about underwater photography.
So here we are, once again.
Welcome back to the Big Scuba podcast. We are your hosts, Gemma and Ian. Before we get cracking with today's episode, we just want to make sure you have hit that follow button or the subscribe button, depending on what platform you are listening on. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you enjoy what you're going to hear today, we would really appreciate it if you can leave a review and a 5-star rating. So now that's out of the way, we just want to say welcome and thank you for all tuning in, and now it's time to dive into today's episode. Hello, welcome to the Big Scuba podcast. This is Gemma speaking, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, Ian.
Yes, I'm here too. Hello everybody, welcome back and thanks for downloading this episode.
Yep, so it's episode 126 coming up, and we're talking to Jessica Mitchell. But before we get into that, we're just going to say what our podcast is about for anybody that's listening to us for the first time. So we are the Big Scuba podcast, and we talk about all things connected to diving, underwater, on top of the water, and around the water. So
basically having a splash about in the water.
Splash, yeah. So anybody to do with ocean conservation, that's another big one that always has a big impact
Big
on
word.
our podcast. Yeah, big word.
It's a big word. Big word for Sunday.
Yeah, so we've got a selection of guests and obviously 125 previous episodes, so have a dive in and listen to some of the previous ones.
Good pun.
Anyway, so what should we go through next? What have we been up to? You've been a busy chap, haven't you?
Yeah, so last week, for those who don't know and you're listening to the first time, I do a fair bit of CrossFit, and I enjoy that. They enjoy the pain and the challenge of everything that's CrossFit.
It's the pain of the game.
Yes, absolutely. And there was 2 teams from CrossFit Great Yarmouth. We went and joined the Suffolk Games in Ipswich, and what a day. It was an amazing day, and lots of fun. Very hot day, and it was one of the hottest few days, the start of the hottest few days in the UK. It broke a lot of records, didn't it? They hit the temperature on the Monday and Tuesday, and Saturday there was about 77 teams, and we had to do various things like tractor tyre pulling while you're sitting down, and carrying heavy weights and running with heavy weights.
All energetic stuff.
Yeah, lots of very hot work, and both teams done really well. We're hoping for next year to get some more teams from Great Yarmouth to go. And hello to everybody who was there, and hello to my team as well. So it was Gil's partner Flavia, and Linda, and myself, and like I said, there's 2 teams, and we came up 39th, I believe, out of 77 teams.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Yeah, really sharp. In fact, in the afternoon, one of the games that we were participated in, we came 8th.
Yeah, so
which is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
so really pleased with that.
All heads towards the dive fitness.
Even for a youngster like me.
Yeah, they did really well.
So right chuffed with that. And then apart from that, it's just been really getting gear ready for the big farms trip that we got coming up.
Yep.
And work and just generally fitness and stuff. Really.
Yeah.
Keeping up with work.
Yeah. So we've got a up and coming trip to the Farne Islands for a few days. So we'll be boat diving, which I'm looking forward to.
You've been coast guarding, don't you?
Yeah. So we've had a few shouts. So bit of variety. We've had somebody that fell down some steps near the beach, so they just had to be sort of cared for before they were whisked off to hospital. And then we had a boat that had got a bit in a muddle on the sandbanks out on our coast here.
Well, they ran aground.
Yeah, very nearly. So they had to be recovered. They were towed in by the lifeboat, and then we just had to do welfare checks. So So
our coastline changes quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, the sandbank changes daily.
Yeah.
So, and I went paddleboarding on the water. When was that? Monday or Tuesday? And it is amazing to see how the tide does kind of take you, and you've really got to think about all your safety on the water.
If you're holidaying out in this area at the minute, you do need to keep an eye on that, and also look at your. They usually on most of the popular beaches. There's lifeguards with flags up, telling you where you can swim in between, and if you're out there with kids, you've got to make sure that your inflatable's got some rope or something attached to it, because if you are out on the water and that's an outward going wind,
you're in trouble.
You could be very quickly in trouble.
Yeah, well,
it's serious.
We went for a little swim. Well, we decided not to paddleboard because it was not really appropriate because of the wind.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a dip in the sea, and
that was nice, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Well, Sea Portland's, for the people who don't know about Sea Portland, years ago they built a series of artificial reefs, didn't they?
Yeah, it's about 6 or 7 of them.
And what it's actually done is caused riptides. And depending on the wind, depending on what way that's going as well,
how big the tides are,
that can be quite strong. And last night, it was like one of them winds where you're actually just going to be battling the wind the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's not for last night. So no, just went for a swim. That was quite nice, wasn't it?
Got you in.
Oh, you don't sound so surprised.
There was a bit of reluctance.
I am a diver,
I know. I didn't see you rush in.
Well,
you had to acclimatise.
Well, build up. Us men, we take our time. We don't. Fools rush in, don't they? I prefer to, warm up gently.
Yeah, but it was a lovely little dip in the water. Yeah.
Talking about that, so as Gem said, we are off to the farms. Probably my favourite place to go diving in the UK.
Yeah, for our non-UK listeners, it's up on our northeast coast, so it's a collection of kind of rocky islands.
Just south of the Scottish border.
It is, yeah.
So we don't need a passport, not yet.
No.
And it is a beautiful place to go diving. Very similar to Lundy in lots of ways. It's that rocky coastline, and the seals are really, really. A lot of people go diving there for the seals, don't they?
Yeah, the wildlife. I did see, I think recently on the news, the actual islands are closed at the moment because of the risk of bird flu.
Oh, really?
So I don't think there's any people landing on the actual islands.
Oh, right.
Okay. But that's good for the wildlife.
Yeah, that's
getting
all
loads
good.
of people out with that.
And you think last year on one of our dives, we had seals with us. And we had puffins in the water.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. And it
doesn't get much better than that.
No, it's a little bit different to Lundy. It's not a big steam out there, so we haven't got a long time on the boat. It's probably 20-30 minutes tops.
Yeah. If you want to get out somewhere and bang on a tank, you don't need loads of gear. You don't need loads of.
Bang on a tank.
Well, you don't need a twin set.
No.
We have brilliant diving, 4 metres down, seals, puffins in the water.
Lovely light and colour.
All the colours and all that. And it is absolutely some beautiful diving up there. There is wrecks, and you can go diving deep. I've done 30 odd metres down there, and fine. And that's great. Those wrecks and those. You speak to your captain, and if you say to him, "This is what you like to do when you go diving," there, they will take you somewhere as long as the currents and you're, you've got those certs to say you're safe down at those depths. Then they'll gladly take you.
Yeah, and the skippers of the boats, they live and breathe that coastline, so they know it inside out.
Yeah, they've dived it, and as boys and girls, and they've they know the currents inside and out.
Yeah. So keep your eyes peeled, and you'll see.
And not only that, the people who run the B&Bs and the in the area where we stay, they're so catered for divers.
Yes, hoses, hanging lines for our dry seas.
Yeah, and we should also shout out to Crystal Sea Scuba again, who are organising this trip. It's a trip that they make twice a year, and it is a brilliant one to do. So if you haven't been to the Farne Islands, look up Sea Houses.
That's the village on the coast.
Yeah, that's the harbour, and put that on your list as a to do. If not this year, do it next year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we'll be posting pictures and videos on social media so that you can see what our adventures get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Great place. Actually, I will also say, just ahead, But if you haven't done any diving off a boat before, it's a really good place to go and get that first experience. But do let the captain of the boat know, because he needs to know what sort of experience people have got.
What level they are.
But as new divers, and you want to get that first experience of diving off a boat, that's a great place to go.
Yes, yeah. It was my first boat dive.
Was it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is. It's well worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, excellent. So, very good. What else have we got to mention? Happy bottles.
We love our happy bottles.
Yes, yeah. So we have got a discount code for you all to use if you would like a happy bottle.
They're a really good company, aren't they?
They are. It's www.happybottles.com. HAPI. So have a look at their bottles, but they're very robust. They keep cold drinks cold.
For work.
Yeah, and they do keep hot drinks hot for a long time as well.
They do,
which
yeah.
You do find the odd hot flask that is a bit rubbish. So
you can do, yeah.
They've got a flip lid. It's no straw, easy to clean, and then the lid even locks.
Comes in plastic-free packaging.
Yeah, it's really good. So if you want to get away from your single-use plastic bottles, have a look.
Give them a look.
Yeah.
Happybottles.com.
Yeah. So and you can go to the checkout, order your bottles, order the handles for the bottles, and you plug in Big Scuba, and that will give you a massive 20% off.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's do it.
Yep, so that's www.happybottles.com. So that's
awesome. Okay. So should we talk about our guest?
Yes,
who we've got?
Our guest is Jessica Mitchell. She is UK based and a girl from the south west coast. So she knows some of our previous guests.
So just thinking about that, I didn't say this in the interview, but we need somebody to contact us from John O'Groats now, because we do this. We often make these recordings at the most easterly point.
We have
Lowestoft, don't we? We've spoke to somebody now on the Lizard.
Yes.
Our most southerly point of the UK. So what we now need is somebody who's diving, lives very close to Land's End, and someone who lives very close to John O'Groats.
John O'Groats, yeah. I think
then we can tick those boxes.
We've spoken to somebody in the Faroe Islands, but that's not really UK.
Doesn't class as the furthest point of the
that's
actual
an extreme
mainland.
Extreme end of
we're not discluding them, but technically it's part of the mainland.
But anyway, back to Jessica.
Really good, isn't she?
Yeah, so she specialises in photography and film work. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her story, how she's got diving, and what she's been up to over.
And guess how she made contact with us?
The Big Scuba Bat.
Yes, it's still there. We haven't reminded people, and we get I wanted to just tell people it's still there. It's a WhatsApp. You can message us, tell us about your diving. If you're thinking, hey, that Big Scuba lot, let's get on there and talk to them about my diving, then do that, okay? The number you need to call is +44 78 10 00
5924.
That's the number you've got to message, send us a voicemail, whatever, or just say, hey, I'm a diver, I've been doing this and that, and I want to shout about it.
Yeah, send some pictures. It's WhatsApp's
Get
free.
yourself known. Yeah. And can I say this? I presume I can.
Anyway.
I'm going to. I might be wrong. I might be correct. Someone can contact us and say, hey, you've got that wrong. Please do. I'm often wrong. I do believe at the moment we are the only current UK scuba diving podcast that's currently running. Others are out there historically.
But we're active.
So I just wanted to say to you, if you want to get on there and you want to talk about your diving, well, get in contact.
Yeah, and now everybody's out there in the water. Let us know. And even if you're a paddleboarder or a kayaker and you've got some story that you've got to tell after you've been out on the water, let us know.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Awesome. Right.
Right.
Oh, and also she's a DJ.
Well, yeah, we found that out. We had no idea. But listen to the interview and...
she's the
you'll be
master
surprised.
of the wheels that steal.
Yeah, and it's all... she does like the beachy vibe and the Balearic kind of vibe. So we're looking forward to hearing some of her music soon.
Yeah, you need to follow to keep on track of what tunes that she's coming out with.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll put in the show notes how you can find Jessica, but we're now going to have a lovely chat to her and find out all about her diving journey and about Jessica.
Let's do it. Let's get her on.
Jessica Mitchell, welcome to the Big Scuba podcast. So you're here. Whereabouts are you based at the moment?
I'm based down in Cornwall. I live on the
Nice.
Lizard. I'm very fortunate to live down on the Lizard, which is sort of like right on the heel of Cornwall. And I live about 10 minutes away from Porthcaris, which is one of the best dive locations in the UK, possibly the world, I would say. But you know, I'm a little bit biased because I get to live here. So.
Yeah, we have spoken to Georgie. Yeah, it's just it sounds an amazing place.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. And Georgina and Dan as well, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I've been doing some freediving stuff with Georgina.
Yeah.
And she's obviously a very talented lady because she wins lots of awards too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what got you into the underwater world? How did you start? Was it through your family or what made it start?
Wow, that's a really good question. So originally my granddad actually gave me a love and a passion of natural history stuff, and through him showing me how wonderful nature is and how you can be how you can just be so inspired by natural structures and things like that. I started sort of getting really into it, and obviously then came David Attenborough, and we would watch that sort of thing together, and it gradually got my interest in the photography side of things. So I started looking at options where I could go and be a wildlife photographer, and then I'm like, well, actually, why don't I try and combine my passion for the sea as well? Because I grew up in Cornwall, so that meant that I was surfing, free diving, swimming constantly. So it made sense to try and make maybe some sort of living out of doing something that I'm passionate about. So it's sort of all kind of started fairly early on, and I've been quite set on my path since, which has been quite difficult at times, but it's very rewarding as well.
And it's really lovely that your granddad inspired you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a fantastic man. It's a shame, and I do think about him quite regularly. It's a shame that he can't see where I am, because it's because of him that I sort of went down that path. He always told me to do something that you love and the money will come later. And
That's good advice.
Yes, definitely. I've held that in my head whenever I've had this difficult moment where I'm like, oh, I don't know, can't be bothered with this, or this is too much stress. And actually it's not. It's never too much stress when you realise in the whole scheme of things that it's working towards a big end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So photography came first before the actual underwater world.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they're synonymous. So I was always quite passionate about water, a bit of a water baby. My dad just sort of threw me in when I was younger and I could swim. So that was that. And my parents basically were forcing me to go to university. And the passion for water was already there, but didn't really want to do anything. And the only course that I had any interest in remotely was the one at Falmouth, the Marine and Natural History Photography course. So I was like, right, want to do that one, don't want to go anywhere else. It's on the doorstep. I lived at home while I was going, so I was commuting to and fro. And yeah, I haven't looked back. I'm really glad that my parents forced me to go to uni, because I had the opportunity to work and be in a really lovely university doing a very unique course, which has served me really well with what I've been doing for natural history filmworking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds lovely, and lovely that you can be somewhere that you love while you're studying as well.
Yeah, definitely. Falmouth's lovely, even without being part of the university, but the facilities there are incredible.
Yeah.
And that's where our friends Fourth Element are based as well, isn't it?
Yes, they are. They're based in
there.
Helston, actually, which is just up the road from me. Saw Jim the other day.
Cool.
Went and had lunch. It was quite nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of well-known names from that area.
Yeah, it's a lovely place to be. We're very privileged to be in such a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah. So did you do your diving qualifications while you were at uni, or did you learn before?
I learnt before a little bit, but I didn't do any official qualifications until I went to uni. It was kind of a prerequisite to get onto the course. So if you wanted to do the underwater elements of it, they required that you did had at least like advanced open water, so that you had an understanding of the diving before throwing cameras in as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's all sort of it's going to be changing going forward with HSE requirements and things like that. But we as divers were always served quite well from the uni, because there's also a really lovely dive site, Pendennis Point, Silver Steps, just down around the corner from Falmouth Uni.
I heard of Silver Steps, yeah.
A really lovely shore entry dive, and that was basically where I cut my teeth. I know that place like the back of my hand. I could probably guide some. I had a period of time where I was working and living in Bristol, so it was about 8 years. And I came back down with my friends and we're like, let's go Silver Steps. And I was like, right, okay, see if I can remember where the boiler is, and did it straight off the bat. My friends were like, wow. They looking at each other like, where are we going? Because I was just sort of going all over the place, not necessarily navigating, but by direction, but just sort of like going to where I felt that it was, and found it first time, and everyone was really, really impressed, because it was a beautiful day and the light was just coming through the boiler the way that it should, and it was a lovely moment.
That's an old wreck, is it?
Sorry?
It's an old wreck?
There's off Pendennis Point there's actually 2 U-boats that were sunk just off there, and this is the boiler of one of them, and there's another one just off Castle Beach, which is a little bit further. But this is the main one that's sort of like just off the coast and is a bit more easily accessible.
Oh wow, that's really
sounds great. Great place to learn.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Got lots of different species of fish and everything there as well. You get cuttlefish too, and spider crabs, dogfish and everything. So it's a good place to go if you're actually doing photography, because you get so many different subjects, like macro and bigger subjects too.
And the visibility is usually pretty good along that coast, isn't it?
It is, if you don't get any easterly winds.
Oh really?
If you've got easterlies, it'll muck it all up, and you're probably not going to be able to dive on the south coast either.
Okay.
And so, well, you've just got to take the opportunity, haven't you, when the situations are good. Yeah. So with diving qualifications, you've done your advanced. Have you gone any further along?
Yes, absolutely. So I love diving so much that I very quickly went from advanced to rescue diver. And it's like, right, okay, I wanted to actually learn at that point to be an instructor, but that didn't happen. So I went to dive master level, and I was like, right, okay, I feel like that's enough for me for a minute to focus on, so that I can actually just get in the water with the camera, but also being safe and being able to actually earn a little bit of money doing dive mastering too.
Yeah.
So did that for a couple of years, and then when I left university, I went straight up to Bristol and went and did my HSE qualification, so that I could be a commercial diver and work officially based out of the UK, because that's obviously that's a requirement of diving at work, is that you have to have this commercial diving qualification, so that you're working at a certain level of safety, and everybody is, they know where the bar is set and they know what they need to do. So if you're working underneath that, then
was that a big leap?
Sorry,
was that a big leap?
It was, because you're going suddenly from using half mask and just open circuit to full mask with a bailout and communications as well. So it's quite an intense course, but it's very rewarding. And to be honest, I wish I could do it again.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. You get a really good sense of camaraderie and teamwork amongst everyone, because you have to tend each other. You have to dress your other diver in, you have to make sure that they're all good, that they're feeling comfortable before they go in the water. You have to go through the whole processes together.
Yeah.
and you're doing several dives a day, it's quite tiring as well. So you sort of the people on the course tend to cut them together a little bit as a family.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a very rewarding and worthwhile course to do if you're looking at doing anything professionally underwater.
And how long does the course last? Is it quite
to complete it?
Yes, yeah.
It can be anything from 2 weeks to a month. It depends where you do it. There's different levels of the course that you can do, and obviously each one would cost a different amount of money as well.
Yeah. Oh well, that's good. And then from there, where did you go?
So from there, in terms of diving, I kept it at that level for a few years while I was building up experience and getting work as an underwater camera assistant. I also started working at a place called Esprit Film and Television. They hire out underwater camera gear and lights, and also technicians like myself. And through sort of doing that work, I learned that I needed my rebreather qualification as well, in order to be able to do exactly what I am sort of intending to do with my career. So in order to be an underwater camera operator, for Blue Chip Natural History, which is, the big landmark series that you see on BBC and the likes, you have to be able to sit for long periods of time stationary underwater, and sometimes with no bubbles. So there are times when a rebreather is the appropriate tool for this.
Right.
And obviously, if you're not qualified on a rebreather, then you can't put yourself forward for those jobs. So it became a point where I needed to do it because it was the tool for the job, but not necessarily because it's the type of diving that I wanted to do. Because I don't know, do you guys rebreather dive? Are you open circuit or rebreather?
No, just so open circuit.
Open circuit, keep it that way.
It's quite a big investment, isn't it? Because they're not cheap, aren't they?
It is a big investment. Sorry?
You bought a new one?
No, I didn't. I was very fortunate, actually. I was looking for a unit just to practice on. And a friend of mine said, I know someone who's looking to sort of loan a unit. They're going to be putting it in storage because they're not very well. Right. But they don't want to get rid of it just yet. So better off to have someone using it than it just sitting laying fallow. So I was very, very, very kindly loaned the unit that I now have to practice on and build up my hours and everything. So I was incredibly fortunate to be able to have that at that point, because I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I mean, I did it up and I got it all back up to working and made sure all of the sensors and everything were new, and it had a service and stuff. But other than that, I didn't have to pay out for all of the peripheries. I bought a few spares, but everything was there largely. And it was a good solid unit to start off on. Really far too big for me. In an ideal world, when I've got a little bit of money, I'm going to go for one of the smaller units that AP has. I'm going to stick with AP because that's what I know. And also, they're literally just up the road next to Fourth Element, so I can get myself serviced. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that they're based down there as well, aren't they? Yeah,
absolutely. It's great because when I need to go and get some new stuff, I can just pop half an hour down the road, pop into AP, give them my rebreather unit, and then go and pop in and see everyone in Fourth Element.
It's like one big family, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Who'd have thought it, eh?
Yeah.
I'm here in Cornwall.
Yeah, no, that's so. Have you done much rebreather diving?
I've been on my rebreather. Sorry, just having a drink. I've been on my rebreather for about 5 years now. Wow. And I've dived all over the world on it. I've dived in Australia, Africa, Sri Lanka, and it does open up opportunities to have experiences with animals that you wouldn't have normally. But the whole time you're thinking, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And you just have like this constant anxiety of being in the water on this thing that could potentially kill you or your buddy who you're acting as safety diver for. And it just sort of it adds many levels of complexity, but also obviously layers of safety as well, because if you're doing the sort of diving consistently that we're doing over a longer period of time, obviously you're exposing yourself to higher nitrogen levels. So over the course of a week, you might find that actually your body loading's a lot more and you're more tired. So that can have knock-on effects. So there's moments when, you know, it might be quicker and easier to go on open circuit, but actually all of the extra faff that's required with rebreather might mean that in the longer term, you're more ready and awake and, you know, super enthusiastic about the job rather than just sort of feeling, oh God, I'm really tired.
Yeah, ready for action.
Yeah.
Quite an interesting point though, isn't it? Because I can see why you need to do why you need to go on a rebreather, but also you kind of, you know, it could be just easier just to bang on a twin set. You know, can you dive with a twin set as well?
I haven't dived a manifolded twin set, but I have dived a twin set with two separate. So yeah, it is possible, especially to get the time underneath. And if you're only at like 5 meters, then that you kind of have to make that decision: is this one or that one going to be easier to use? But more often than not, for time and the interactions that you get with the animals, because you're bubble free, you'll have to go with the rebreather.
So it's quite an interesting point. So have you seen a difference in I guess reaction and how the animals are? Because what are we talking about, seals?
Not necessarily just seals, but seals definitely, they are curious about the fact that you're there and you're not giving off bubbles, because they don't like bubbles. Bubbles is a warning sign for them. It's a sign of aggression. So obviously if you've got lots of divers around them blowing bubbles, then they're not going to be comfortable in that situation. So it's the same with free diving as well. If you go free diving with seals, there's I live about a 5-minute walk from the beach, and there's a seal that comes and visits down there when I go swimming. And last year, actually, it was one of the first experiences with him. Now I've diverted onto free diving, but I was down there just having a little mosey around, and I just felt this tugging on my fin. I was like, oh God, what is it? Turned around, and he had come around behind me, and basically everywhere I looked, he was right behind me, and my friend was on the shore watching, obviously could see what was going on. I'm like, what? But they absolutely love playing with anything that doesn't have bubbles. They will come right up to your face, and it comes back to the rebreather as well. They'll come right up to you and they'll like start mouthing you and playing with you and everything like that. They're not scared at all. And it's the same with most animals, really. Fish, cuttlefish as well. You can get really close with octopus. It's just they're not scared. They're more curious, if anything, because you're in their realm and you're being like them.
That must be really awesome, because you know, because you're not. Now we only know the reaction, what we know, because we're open circuit divers, and that must be really amazing to have that reaction and relationship with an animal under the water, even for just a short period of time like that.
It is. It's great. There's the best interactions I've had have been without kit at all, just breath hold. Hands down, and that's the most natural way of experiencing it as well. I think it's kind of, you know, that's where we came from before we had all of the equipment. The only thing that we could do to be underwater was to hold our breaths, and it is a very, sorry about the noise in the background. I've got someone building a shed outside, so I do apologize if there's loads of banging. So
you haven't got someone just locked in a cupboard somewhere. Let me out!
Sorry, I got distracted then. It's a very natural thing to be able to hold your breath and have that interaction with nature. You know, it's quite carnal? Is carnal the right word? Probably not. It just feels like it's ingrained in us to have that relationship with the water, and as a result, the creatures that are in it.
No, that sounds amazing. So what's your kind of career path? Where is it at the moment? What are you doing with your diving and your photography?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm actually having a bit of time off to just go diving for pleasure, because a lot of what I do is for training, and I just wanted to have a bit of time to enjoy what I've worked towards. So I'm doing some diving, doing some free diving, building myself back up to start working. I'm editing a show reel together at the moment so that I can go and be like, hey, come, I can do this thing, so maybe give me a job. And just sort of enjoying having a bit of a summer in Cornwall again.
But that's nice.
It's lovely, and I've spent a lot of the time over the past 3 years, despite lockdown, actually consistently working, which has been really good, but I'm very tired. And that's why I've taken a little bit of a rest. I think it's important to know within yourself, and it goes with anything, it's important to know when you are running on empty or near to empty. And I've taken some time for my mental health and everything else, just to be like, no, I want to sit down for 5 minutes and put my roots in and actually do the things that I enjoy, which is why I started doing everything in the first place. So
and you can like reignite your passion then for it as well in some ways.
I mean, it's never been that I've lost it, but when you're making money out of something that you enjoy, sometimes doing stuff for other people takes it definitely takes the creativity away, because a lot of the time someone will be telling you what to film and with what equipment. So you go to the place, you film the thing, and you get out, and that's kind of how it is. And it can be quite draining when you're consistently away. I've spent quite a lot of time away over the past few years, and if you're away for like 6 weeks at a time, then you come back, you've got maybe a week to recover, and then you're off again for another 5-6 weeks. That can it can get on top of you, and it's and I would say to anybody, regardless of what they are doing or planning to do with their life, if you are feeling stressed and worn out, just take some time off if you can.
Well, in itself, traveling is exhausting anyway, isn't it? So you've got,
especially at the moment.
Definitely.
Lots of hassles with traveling.
Well, I was up in London for 6 hours or something the other day. Travelled up from Cornwall up to London and back the same day. Wow. That was a killer. It was so hot. How did you guys suffer in the heat? Did you keep cool, or were you actually passing out or anything?
I live on the coast, so it's fine because the sea's only a few minutes walk away.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Ian's a bit further inland, so it's a bit hotter.
That is, it was quite hot. So I think I got to about 38 here, I think.
Wow.
So I had some early starts with work, so I managed to get home a bit earlier those days, and try not to travel too far. Really, that was my sort of plan for those 2 days. Yeah,
good. Barbecue in the evening?
No, not really got into a barbecue. Really, they never seem to last very long with me. Barbecues. They all seem to fall to bits.
It's always time. Time was never on.
I was thinking about some of the people we know who were training at the weekend, and if they were in dry suits and thermals, it must have been awful. It must have been really difficult, having surface intervals and you've got dry suits and thermals on.
But I guess you're just in a wetsuit now, are you?
It depends where I go. I've got lots of different types of wetsuits with all different thicknesses. I've got dry suit with different thicknesses of undersuits and things, so it kind of depends. I think you just sort of you get to know what your baseline is for certain temperatures. You sort of think, oh, okay, I'm going for a hotter country, so I'll go for a couple of thicknesses, because over the period of time that you're diving, if you're on a longer shoot, your core body temperature goes down. So actually, if you're in wetsuits for like 3-4 weeks, you can start off being like, oh yeah, it's okay, I'm only in a 2 mil, but actually by the end of it, you might need to push that to a 4 in order to be able to sustain the same length of dive. So that's just something that I have to take into consideration when I'm prepping. Is it going to end up being that actually I need to take my dry suit on a hot water shoot? And if you're in the water for 3-4 hours, then absolutely that could be an option.
Yeah. So where's your favorite place to dive?
I can't possibly say anywhere other than Forth Kerris, can I?
Well, that's great, because it like really promotes UK diving, doesn't it? So.
It does, absolutely. There is nowhere like the UK. I love the coast. You can go diving every day of the year and you'll see something different, and it's fantastic. I learned to dive in the UK, and I think anyone that's wanting to sort of take diving seriously should learn to dive, and dive regularly in the UK as well, because the conditions are challenging and can be challenging. And if you get to go to some more benign places, then it means that you're fully equipped with the skills that you would need if the weather suddenly changes. Not that it would, but it might.
Yes.
And you're sort of like above where you need to be if you're going to the slightly more tropical places.
There's people that live here and don't dive here, and that's like unreal. And it's like, why would you not dive when you've got such great diving? We're off to the Farms next week.
Amazing.
And it's amazing diving up there. It's awesome. And you can be like last year, 3 meters down, seals, puffins in the water, a whole manner of different colors and and it's like amazing diving. You think, wow, why wouldn't people go, oh, it's dark and gloomy in the UK? No, it's not. It's great. And
it's not cold either this time of year. I mean, you were in a semi-dry when we did it last year, and just think, well, it is an extreme diving, is it? Not in reality. It's
Oh, if you've got the right equipment, if you've got the right thermal equipment, you can be in any water. It won't affect you so much. Like if you're going to dive in the Antarctic, obviously I wouldn't expect you to be able to wear a wetsuit, but you would make sure that you had the adequate thermal exposure for that. So it's all relative, isn't it? It might be that maybe you don't enjoy diving in the UK because you don't have the right kit. But sometimes people don't want to spend the money because they dive so infrequently. So diving in places like Egypt is a better option, because they sort of, they want to enjoy it, and I can appreciate and understand that as well.
Everybody's got different opinions, haven't they? But
and the fact that on the liveaboard you're virtually dressed and undressed by the crew to get in the water. You just got to virtually stand there, and they're zipping you in and everything. And it does, they do look after you. Like, it's unreal. It's amazing. But I love the UK diving. I think it's brilliant.
Where's your favourite place to dive in the UK?
Well, I've only dived in the UK, so I've been to St Abbs, Bindi, and the Farne Islands, and off our local coast, the North Norfolk coast. So,
Where's your favourite then?
Who, me?
Yeah.
So far, I think it would be the Farne Islands, because that was the very first time kind of shore diving, or not shore diving, boat diving. So we did a shore dive in North Norfolk, but that was the first experience of like jumping off a boat.
Wow, amazing. What about you, Ian?
I've always got a soft spot for the Farnes, because I've always, that was probably my first place where I went diving, I think in the sea in the UK. I think I went there before I went to Weybourne. Can't think now. I think it is. And I just love it up there. I love the village, Sea House is a beautiful village. The people that you stay with, they're always, really, they can't do enough for you.
Lovely scenery up there, isn't it?
Scenery, you know, Bamburgh Castle up there, and it's just a lovely few days of great scenery, great spending time with great friends, and getting some great diving in. And occasionally you might get blown out, you know, there might be the odd bit of wind that knock a dive off or two, but we've done paddleboarding up there, and that's been brilliant, haven't we? And it's just a great place to go. So for anyone's listening who haven't done the Farne Islands yet, go to Northumberland. It's a great place to go.
Yeah, and it's easy diving. You just jump on a boat and it's only like 20 minutes, 30 minutes steam out, and then you're in the water, and which is really good. So no, can't recommend UK diving highly enough.
Definitely, it's a lot more fun than people think. It's not all.
Last year,
not all doom and gloom.
We saw a huge cod, didn't we?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Wow.
That was a massive, great big cod just laying there looking at us.
Yeah, and it is, you know, for so relatively new diver, you learn in like inland waters like Stony Cove, Gildenberg, and you see a few fish, but then when you get in the sea, the first dive I did in the sea was off our coast here, and you just think, wow, look at all these colours. And it's just, you know, you don't see colour like that in Stony Cove. It is a bit monotone. But that first dive off the coast here was, you know, only a few days after I qualified for open water, and it was just like, wow, it's
an eye-opener, wasn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah. So definitely favour sea diving to inland diving, definitely. So and like yourself, you know, like free diving, you've like done diving, tech diving, and now you know, obviously free diving as well, so you've got a whole like element of different aspects of the underwater world.
I think it's important to keep up all of the different disciplines, because they do work quite well together. Because I until I started doing I've always done free diving, but never like properly after having been taught. You know, you sort of you establish all of these bad traits over the years when you're doing certain things, because you're like, oh, I can hold my breath, but actually there's a better way to do it that's more efficient, and you can actually like hold your breath better and for longer. And in terms of learning about anatomy and equalizing and things like that, I actually feel that there are some parts of equalizing in free diving that would be relevant to learn as a diver, because it teaches you a little bit more about like the soft palate and how you can move air around the parts of your anatomy and your sinuses and things like that. And it wasn't until I started doing free diving that I actually got the different techniques of equalization. So when you're doing certain depths and things, you are you're not required to, but it is more efficient to use different types of equalization when you're free diving. And sometimes when you're diving, obviously you can get a bit of a block or something, and if you're finding it difficult to equalize, trying different ways of doing it can help. So it's through free diving I've actually learned how to dive better myself. And it's more through like being able to look after my sinuses and everything better. Well,
that's a great thing to hear, and just shows people should be a bit more open to exploring different ways of, you know, getting in the water, whether it's, you know, with air or without air.
So depth and time wise, while you're free diving, what sort of times are you doing at the moment in depth?
Oh, I'm just a baby, really. I can probably manage about 2 minutes at most.
Really? That's quite
about
bit.
10 meters. But at the same time, I'm working on it. I'm always trying to improve on that, always trying to be better. And in trying to be better, I sort of feel like I'm getting fitter over time as well. So, you know, my lung capacity it's changing, and I feel like I'm a bit more fitter just generally. So I definitely would recommend even just learning how to do it, so that when you go to the water there aren't any restrictions of you being able to explore.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. It was just something on my list to do, definitely, because it is, yeah. If you sat here and timed it 2 minutes, it was just that you can think, well, what could you see in 2 minutes? It'd be amazing.
Yeah. It is great, and everything sort of looks at you like, what are you? they don't tend to run off. I've actually touched more. Not that you would, but sometimes you just sort of put your hand out and see if they might come to you or something. And a lot of the time they do. They're quite curious. Like whatever it is, could be fish or anything, but they do tend to want to come nearer to you if you're not making bubbles.
Yeah.
And we have spoken to free divers that have said that it has helped their actual diving with a tank for kind of relaxation and, like you said, equalising. There's different aspects that will benefit and complement the diving with your tank.
Yeah, definitely. It can be a bit more, it can make it more meditative. I mean, diving's already quite a cathartic thing. That's why a lot of people do it. It's, you're very much in your bubble under the water. You can't hear anyone talking unless you've got comms on. And it's just really lovely just sort of being able to look around and have your senses just sort of surrounded by nothingness.
Yeah.
But the little noises and the creaks and things like that.
I think it's important, isn't it? I think sometimes we forget about the noises, and especially with being on a tank, you do lose that, because all you hear, it's quite loud, isn't it? When you think about it, those bubbles. Sometimes if we're doing any YouTube stuff and we play back anything, and the noise of the bubbles is quite loud, and it does, and especially if you, I think more so on a night dive. If you're doing a night dive, it's really nice when it's still, and it's just you in the environment, and maybe you got your torch and you're just panning around, and it's quite still, and then all of a sudden you hear the bubbles, and it's like, I do understand why people do get into rebreathing for that reason on its own. I think it's to get rid of the bubbles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, must be really quite strange, because you think, well, the bubbles are just coming up by your ears, and that is all you hear, isn't it? Yeah. So is there anything that takes you out of your comfort zone in what you do?
Free diving. It's really funny, because obviously I've come from a background of diving. Suddenly not being able to breathe under the water, I had to sort of reprogram my brain, because I'd get down to 5-6 meters, I'd be like, oh, I can't breathe. I know that I can't breathe because I'm holding my breath, but it's unusual, because I'm used to being able to breathe under the water, and now I'm not breathing under the water. So it's kind of that was quite difficult. And also the mental aspect of free diving as well, because you're there with yourself. You're under the water being like, I can't hold my breath anymore. And I have this little internal fight with myself being like, you can do this. And I sort of end up coming up sooner than I know that I can, just because I'm not in the right headspace for it. Or, maybe I needed to give myself a little bit more relaxation beforehand. And just sort of, as soon as you start getting into this cycle of I can't do it, and it kind of adds a lot of stress, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually I do need to go up now, rather than just relaxing into it and letting it go.
I think
that's been quite difficult.
Is really important, because the worst place to be is underwater if you really don't want to be underwater, isn't it? But do you like warm up? Do you, if when you say you could hold your breath for 2 minutes, that's what you're working up to, do you just like start up, I'll just take it easy first and do like 30 seconds? Do you do anything before you get underwater? Do you start warming up? So
you can. Some people do just go straight in, but it does help to have a bit of a warm up. Maybe even just like a meditation session, lying on the beach or something, just lying there, breathing deeply, breathing into like the sides of your ribs, and just making sure that everything's fluid and warmed up, because obviously you don't want tension.
Yeah.
You want to be completely relaxed, because if there is any tension, that means that you're using more oxygen than you need to at that moment, because you've got a limited amount of oxygen in your lungs at that point. So the more movement that you're doing, the more you're going to be using. So you kind of need to keep everything chill, and it does help to have a little bit of a warm up. And when you go in the water, you'll have like a breathe up before you actually go to depth. So you'll spend maybe like a minute just breathing deeply in and out, preparing yourself to take your final breath, and then just go down. But it all needs to be one fluid, relaxed, slow, chilled movement, and it's quite difficult getting it all to go in one at the same time. You know, you might actually find that you felt your pre-breathe was better on one of the first dives, but then the breath hold was better on some of the subsequent ones.
Right. And are you generally on your own when you're doing all this, or
No.
do you, is there a group of you or that normally meet up to do free diving or anything? Or
So I've got friends that I don't go in the water on my own. That's definitely water 101. Don't go in the water on your own. That I've known a few people, unfortunately, who have passed on because they've tried going free diving on their own. It's a very dangerous thing to do, because you know what happens if you pass out, someone hasn't seen you, and then that's that. So always go with someone. I've got friends that I go with. There's also a group that Georgina runs, and they all go out together on the Kitten out of Porthcaris. She also does some pool sessions too. I've been to a few coached pool sessions with her and Alex. So yeah, there's definitely a big thriving community of it down here. I've got a lot of friends that do a lot with the water. Yeah. So we're always like, hey, do you want to go for a surf, or do you want to go and do this? And we'll just run off. And
sounds a great life.
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
Lucky for summer.
Yeah, you've got a great summer ahead as well. So.
Yes, absolutely. It's only just beginning too, which is nice.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. So when do you think you'll be back diving? You're just going to get the summer out of the way and then start looking at sort of potential sort of projects?
Yeah, I'm going to be diving sort of over the next couple of months anyway, but starting to work loosely on a project with a friend of mine. I've helped him to get some funding, and I'm hoping to sort of help guide that in a certain direction. I probably won't get any money out of it, but it's good to help support and also raise awareness of certain things. So I'm happy to provide my services in that respect. I will be going up to Bristol at some point fairly soon for some meetings and to sort of to show people that I'm around again, because I have spent a lot of time away. I've had people being like, hey Jess, can you come and do this job? And no, sorry, I'm away. And it's become quite a common theme. So people are like, oh, I kind of didn't think to call you because I thought you might be away. So now I'm feeling a bit more rested and ready to sort of level up, I guess. I've reached a place where I'm comfortable. I know my craft, I know where I'm at, and now I want to work towards taking control of my career a little bit more, taking it in a direction that I want to go in for me, not because someone's calling me and saying, hey Jess, I want you to come and do this job and I need to go and do it for money. I want to be able to be a little bit more selective and do specific jobs that I want to do that are working on my strengths, so I can sort of like refine what I'm doing even more.
Good place to be.
Yeah, it's a lovely place. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, and having a sort of summer to like plan that all in and decide is
definitely making some big moves. I've just invested in a new computer as well, so hopefully that'll be helpful in the next chapter.
So you got an iPad, what's the Apple or Microsoft?
I've gone for Windows. I've gone for Microsoft basically because as much as Apple's really good, they are very good for the memory and the speed that I wanted going forward. I'd have had to spend about £50,000 getting a Mac spec to the spec that I've got my computer.
Oh, did you say 50,000?
50.
Yeah. And as much as I would like to have that amount of money,
wow.
If I had that amount of money, I wouldn't be spending it on a Mac. I'd probably spend it on a Red. So the next best thing for me was to get my friend to help me design and build a computer. So I've got a big lean mean processing machine, which hopefully is going to be helpful in the next stage.
You know, this is the issue though, isn't it? Because like I bought my laptops roughly, well, you bought yours roughly the same time.
Yeah, it was pre-lockdown, wasn't it?
Just before we started this thing called the Big Scuba, and I thought, well, I don't, I'm a gardener. I don't need to worry about having lots of RAM and things like that. I'm not a computer person at all. And then as soon as you start using any kind of videoing or camera work, it just takes forever to process, and it takes forever. So you do need quite a powerful computer to now deal with, because like what sort of camera equipment have you got? I presume do you use 4K? I presume quite a bit.
This is the ironic thing. I don't actually have a camera at the moment.
Okay.
I'm a photographer without a camera. What a sad thing. So what happens is a production company will come to me and say, we want you to come on a job, but we want you to use our equipment.
Okay.
So at the moment, it's not worthwhile me spending any money getting a camera, because
it's win-win.
They just tell you what to use. So over the next few years, I'm hoping to be able to save up enough so that I can buy a Red and have that in a housing as well.
So what sort of camera is that?
So Red is a big digital camera for cinema quality images, and it's used quite a lot in the natural history. Right. Well, it's used for, you can use it for anything, but it seems to be the camera that natural history has adopted as its main camera. You do get other ones being used, like some of the ARRI cameras, which are even more expensive again, and you get a certain look with them, and you use certain lenses called anamorphic lenses with them. Right. So you get a different ratio, a different screen ratio. I'm probably saying words that you don't understand now. So when you watch TV, you can get different screens come up. So say you've turned it on and it's in the wrong ratio, and you've got like your little square image. That for normal TV, you would have a 1080 by 1920 image, which is your rectangle. Yeah. Anamorphic, it's stretched even more, so you would have less vertically but more horizontally, so it'd kind of be a bit more widescreen, if I can put a name to it. So you can get different looks and things, and obviously each of those does have its application within natural history stuff, but people do tend more to go towards the Red side of things. Right. But that might change, you never know.
Yeah.
I was looking at Becky Kagan-Scott, she was sharing about her new Sony camera.
Yes.
An amazing setup, and Sony seems though they've brought out some new ones as well, haven't they? And
yeah, Sony cameras are really good, solid options, especially for the price point as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a decent camera to invest in, a Sony would be a good one. Sony A7S Mark II is a good solid camera, and obviously because the Mark III's come out, it would be cheaper as well. So if anybody's looking for a decent second-hand camera, A7S Mark II.
Yeah. Oh well, that's good advice. Yeah. But yeah, for any budding photographers, you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So it's just get underwater and take some pictures, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, really good. So obviously all our guests, we ask 3 questions. So one of them is, if you could take 3 people diving or freediving, they don't have to be divers, but theoretically get them underwater, who would you take and why?
Number one, I would take my brother, so that he can understand a little bit why I do what I do. I think he thinks that I'm absolutely crazy. So I would take my brother. I would take my granddad as well, actually. If he was still alive, I would take him down and show him how great it is.
Yeah.
And you know, why I've been so passionate about it and so driven. And then I guess a third person. I mean, it would be great to go diving with David, really, wouldn't it? At the end of the day, I don't think there's anyone that's in natural history filmmaking that wouldn't want to do something with David. So I would take David Attenborough.
Definitely.
Just because I know that he started off diving, obviously, when he was quite a bit younger. So he would obviously still have the same passion and curiosity about it now. It would be good to sort of rekindle that and give him some new experiences.
And what you could gain from him as well would just be amazing.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. We like to give our listeners a bit of a nugget, and it don't have to be about diving. It can be something you've kind of learned on your travels. We like to give them a little something to take away from this episode. And we always ask our guests, you know, have you got a little golden nugget that maybe it be about diving, could be about free diving, could be about your experience from using a rebreather, maybe. A little bit nugget to give our listener of something of hang on to.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about giving someone a piece of advice would be to find what makes you tick and follow that path. I mean, it'll be different for everyone, but how I make big decisions in my life, like if I get a choice between two jobs, for example, someone's offered me jobs at the same time, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this one's going to have this benefit or this one will have this benefit. I will sit and think and feel how it would feel to actually be awarded that job and how I would feel if I was on it. And if it doesn't make me feel butterflies, I don't do it. So I tend to follow my gut instinct when it comes to the moves that I'm going to make forward. So if I can suggest anything to anyone, it would be just follow what makes you excited, follow your passion. Don't expect to get any money out of it. Maybe one day.
That comes later.
Yes, maybe one day you can earn some money from doing something that you enjoy. Doesn't have to be diving, doesn't have to be photography, could be painting. The main thing is that you're just being creative and exploring that part of yourself and remaining true to you and what you want to do, and don't worry about what other people think. A lot of people will probably say that you're crazy and it's never going to work, but you can make it work if you really want to.
I think that's even more reasons why you should try something when people tell you that wouldn't work. You know, if how many people said we'd never get to the moon, you would never get underwater, you would never do this, you know. And if we ever listened to people like that, we'd still be living in caves. You know, and we wouldn't have things like fire and stuff like that, because people say, oh, you shouldn't rub two sticks together. You have that flame thing. You shouldn't do that. Yeah. But the point is, your granddad gave you great advice. And, you know, that's how we started this episode off. And I think that's brilliant advice. And that's something I'll remember as well. And I think that's good, you know, for everyone to hang on to, I think.
Definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And following your gut instincts, you know, there's so much truth in that to do what you feel is right and go with it. No, really good answer. And then our final question is, if you had a billboard that the whole world could see out there, so it could be something written, it could be a video, it could be pictures, what would you put on your billboard, and what message would you put out there for the entire world to see?
Now, this is quite an interesting one. I did think about it, and obviously when you're given a platform like that, anything could go. And I was thinking quite hard about it, because obviously you could be, I could say an environmental thing, or you could say something about, stopping war. But where I'm at in my life at the moment, I think that it's really important to promote love for yourself. So I would literally just put the 2 words, love yourself, and leave it there, and hope that whoever saw it would sort of look at it and think, actually, maybe I do need to love myself a bit more. Maybe I do need to implement things in my life that would benefit me more than this current situation. Or, am I doing something that's causing me harm? Am I drinking too much? Am I eating too much junk food? Hopefully it would be something just to promote people to look internally at what they're doing for themselves, because it's important when you are in, when you're in your family and when you're in your friends and things like that, you give, don't you? You give to other people, but at the end of the day, you can only give so much before you start draining your own soul.
Yeah.
And if you give back to yourself and show other people the way that you want to be loved, you can also work on your relationships too. So it's kind of a multifaceted, simple message to promote self-love.
It sounds simple, but it's very deep and has so many areas where it can go, isn't it? No, it's really, really good. Excellent. So for people that are listening, if they want to find out a bit more about you, have you got some social media pages they can go to and look at, or a website?
I do indeed. So my website is www.earthmotion.co.uk. That's my business. I'm a freelancer, but I run that as a brand. I'm on Instagram as well, Earth Motion Pictures, and my email address if anybody has any questions. Is it good to give that sort of thing?
Excellent.
My email address is jess@earthmotion.co.uk. And if anyone's got any questions, just get in touch. Like, I'm happy to help point people in the direction of progression, or maybe people to speak to or look at or research. And if I can help anyone feeling like they're banging their head against a brick wall, then I'm well up for that.
That's really good. And especially this time of year when people are like sort of on their school holidays or their college breaks, then it's an ideal chance, to have a good think about what they're going to do in the future. And
I think you've raised some important things, really good things. And I think sometimes in life, I think the modern life is a very busy one, very quick. Everything's quick fire, and days go by and weeks go by, and you thought, well, actually, I haven't actually given myself any time at all. And I think you've raised some really good points in this episode about that, especially like the billboard, about self-love and that. It's been a really good one to talk to you about.
Thank you very much. It's been great to talk to you guys as well.
And as a podcast, we do appeal to divers, but we do have non-divers listening as well. And that's really important advice that you've given, that everybody from any walk of life can take back and, think about. So really, really good. So, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been, really, really good talking to you.
It has,
I'm sure it'll be a very popular episode.
And thanks for getting in contact.
Thank you for having me. I was really surprised when you got back to me, actually. I was thinking, take a bit of a punt getting in touch with you guys, but it's been really lovely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime.
And we'll follow your journey as well, and keep in contact with us, because we like to, once you've been on the podcast, you're a friend of the podcast. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's very sweet.
And,
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, so much. It's been I was really nervous about it.
no need to be.
No, you're fine.
You came across really, really well. Really good.
I've got a gig this weekend, so I'm going to try and get some pictures and stuff to you tonight, because then that's done.
Right.
When you say you've got a gig, is it a gig that you are attending or a gig that you're performing?
I'm performing. I've just so part of me doing the whole mental health thing and taking a bit of time off is I'm getting back into music.
Okay.
And I'm actually DJing at a festival.
All
this
right.
weekend,
Wow.
which will be quite funny. I've had a couple of gigs and they've gone down really well. So I'm looking forward to doing it. It's a bit different. It's a totally different feeling standing in front of people playing music and
So on the wheels of steel.
Like it.
So what sort of music is it?
Sorry?
What sort of music?
The music I've got is probably I'm going more for like a beachy, Balearic vibe, so sunny, the sort of stuff that I'd like to hear on the beach if I was having a barbecue, if I was hanging out with friends having a cider or something. So
is it going to the web?
It might do. It could well do. I've had a couple recorded so far, but I'll find out. I'll pass it on to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Great to hear.
I don't know where it's going to go. I need to actually. That's what I'm going to reward myself by playing fairly shortly, and it might get a bit dirty because I don't know what I'm actually going to play at the moment. It might get a bit like a bit crazy. Who knows? So please bear that in mind when you're listening to it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it. Definitely.
I don't know where it's going right now.
Yeah, well, that's just amazing because we'd have never missed that talking to you, and it's just
That's it. I'm just at a point in life where I want to do things that I enjoy doing and make me feel good. And that, music's always been a really important part of my life. And because I've been diving and taking pictures so much for other people, it's lost the relaxation part of it now. And whenever I go diving, I'm constantly thinking, right, how can I improve myself? I need to work on my trim. I need to do this. I need to make sure I'm going through my air less quickly, and constantly thinking about technique and how to improve stuff. And I just need something that obviously I need to think about it, but it's different because there's no pressure on me to be good. There's no pressure on me to obviously I have to have like some sort of technical skills, but it doesn't matter if I bugger up because no one's paying me to do it.
And you see people enjoy what you're doing as well, so you get feedback, aren't you, instantly? Yeah.
So you can let the bass drop.
I might do.
Oh, awesome. So how long have you been DJing?
I actually I've done it a bit in the past, learnt on vinyl, but sort of I actually bit the bullet and bought my kit earlier this year.
Oh, wow.
And I've been sort of learning how to mix and selecting music and trying to find good combinations and stuff for, I don't know.
Diving and music.
I'd say since February.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome. But diving and music, they go so together. Cool.
Because it's actually part of my new venture. What I'm planning to do is I'm planning to make visuals to play at festivals and projections and things. So
brilliant.
That's why I've got the big computer, so that I can start using programs to make visuals. I'm also going to be filming and producing a lot of them myself, so that I'm getting like footage versions of it.
Wow. Yes, yeah.
So that's kind of it's a creative outlet. That's what I want it to be. It's a creative outlet that brings me pleasure and possibly, hopefully, maybe other people.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah. So, I can't wait to hear some.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'll send it along.
Yeah, you'll have to send us a little bit of footage and then we can go see it. So, but no, that's really amazing.
What's the festival that you're going to tonight?
It's it's tomorrow night. It's called Turnotopia. It's a new festival started up this year because of COVID. There wasn't really anyone doing anything, and the organizer was like, "Oh, we need to get something up and running," and she's very kindly given me an opportunity to play.
So where is it happening?
So it's happening in Gweek, which is about 20 minutes away from me. So it's literally just up the road as well. So I don't need to go very far. Just chuck my stuff in the van and turn up at the right time, hopefully.
Wow.
Great. Oh, well, we'll look it up and then see if there's any footage. Yeah. So,
Brilliant.
No, really good. Yeah. Right. We better go and spin your stuff.
Spin the wheels.
Whatever you do.
I will do. Thank you so much. It's been really great chatting to you guys.
That's been brilliant.
No, it's been lovely to have you on, and keep in touch, and we look forward to following your journey.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much. Yeah, enjoy the weather, and we'll catch up soon.
Will do. I'll send you my pictures and stuff along later.
Lovely.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
All right. Thanks very much, Jess.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, welcome back. Enjoyed that?
Loved it.
Yeah. Brilliant. And it's so lovely to get guests on who are entertaining, engaging, and love talking about their diving.
Yes,
we
exactly.
Love that.
Yeah, and she had some real nuggets of inspiration that and really spoke from a soul, and that's really, really good.
And she's just out there enjoying the diving and loving life.
Yeah, and doing what she wants to do as well. Exactly.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'd love to dive with her one day.
Well, you never know. We might be down that way one day. I say thank you very much to Jessica for getting in contact through the bat phone. Don't forget that number, +44 78 100 05
5924.
Yeah.
You made me nervous then.
Yeah, not quite the right number, but hey, it's okay. They know. Anyway, so get in contact with that and let us know about your diving if you want to if you want to come on. That'd be really good to hear from you. Don't forget Happy Bottles. Go to their website if you've got a picnic and school holidays now. You got to keep drinks cool.
Keep the children hydrated.
Go to happybottles.com. HAPPYBOTTLES.com.
That's it, and use the big scuba.
Get 20% off. Why would you not?
Yeah, and they're really striking colours.
And you prove they float.
Yes, they float. Yeah, they're very robust. I've had them drop off my bike, everything. So.
Yeah, and we'll speak to you next from the lovely Farne Islands.
Yeah, so we will be in the Farne Islands doing little roving reports.
I think we will. Maybe some live things. We don't know yet, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe live from the boat.
Yeah, see how the boat and
If you're on the boat and you've been listening, hello, and we'll see you next weekend. See you there.
So thank you for downloading. This has been the Big Scuba Podcast, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Woohoo! Now that does wrap up today's episode of the Big Scuba Podcast. But if you want to hear more from the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button depending on what platform you are listening on. That way you will never miss an episode from us. But if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and did enjoy what you heard today, we would really appreciate it if you head to the show page to leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does help us. If you do, please take a screenshot of that review and send it to us on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out to say a big thank you. If you have any questions for us or anything that has been mentioned in today's episode, be sure to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or send us an email. The links are in the show notes. We will get back to you no matter what. If you have made it to this point in the episode, we both want to say a big thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.